Welcome guys. Welcome to the channel. In this channel we will regularly post videos so that we can use that as a checklist before getting into the revision session. So that is the main purpose of me creating this channel. And because of the I face an difficulty early, and like whenever I try to revise an old topic or maybe a well-read topic, I usually take more time than that is actually needed, and in that way it just disturbed me in a whole. And so I thought that many of them, and when I discussed with my friends, and they came to know that many of the students in a competitive exam setup are facing this kind of an difficulty too. So I thought that I will just make use of this social media so that I can able to connect with you and help you guys. Okay. Yes, and in this video, and we will just continuing the carbohydrate metabolism, we will talk about shuttles. So shuttle, why it is necessary? So shuttle means pyruvate, malate, and aspartate. These compounds can directly cross the byproducts of the other glycolysis mechanisms, can cross the inner mitochondrial membrane, whereas the NADH and oxaloacetate cannot from the cannot formed in the cytoplasm, but it cannot be formed in the cannot be uh, entered into the electron transport chain without having an proper shuttle. So this is the main reason we are being studied here. That is what I have just mentioned here. This pyruvate, malate, and aspartate, and next comes the NADH and oxaloacetate. So I just explained a bit about. And then what is the point about TC and link reaction? TC and link reaction, these reactions beforehand it takes place in the mitochondria, so it doesn't need an particularly need an shuttle like that of the earlier mechanisms to transport the intermediate products to generate ATP. So that is what I try to stress here. And then malate shuttle. So malate shuttle and reservoir phosphate shuttle. So this is the two main shuttles in human beings. Actually, many shuttles are there. These two are made clinically significant as of now, and then and in an exam point of view too. And then what it actually happens means they are actually same. Only 2 to 3 differences are between them, and otherwise it is just one and the same. Malate shuttle and the glycerol phosphate shuttle, if both are present in the inner mitochondrial membrane and transfers the reducing substances from the cytoplasm to the mitochondria, whereas in mine malate shuttle it is the NADH, it is converted into it goes into the mitochondria as NADH and gives into the mitochondria, whereas in glycerol phosphate NADH is given in and it is produced as an FADH. I will just explain it later how it actually goes ahead. And then yes, that's it. So then I will just try to discuss about the this thing bioenergetics of these two shuttles. So basically this is a slow shuttle, so this is a fast shuttle. So fast shuttle, so because of this reason it is being used in a vital organism like skeletal muscle and during exercise, and brain in case of fasting and starvation. And the main enzyme involved here is the glycerol 3 phosphate dehydrogenase, and here it is the malate 3 phosphate dehydrogenase. And working mechanism, it's not particularly that very much important, just replace the cytoplasmic cytosolic malate dehydrogenase in case of cytoplasm, and mitochondrial malate dehydrogenase in case of mitochondrial matrix, whereas same applies here to cytoplasm too. In case of glycerol phosphate 2 in cytoplasm, we use cytosolic glycerol 3 phosphate dehydrogenase, and in it converts NADH to NAD in case of glycerol phosphate, and then from the DHAP the glycerol 3 phosphate is formed, and this glycerol 3 phosphate is shuttled into the mitochondrial membrane, and inside the mitochondrial membrane FADH2 is generated by in the presence of mitochondrial glycerol 3 phosphate, and we got the DHAP. This DHAP then comes out of the mitochondrial membrane, and this FADH2, it gives rise to one molecule of FADH2 gives rise to 1.5 ATP. So usually two molecules are there, so it totally gives rise to 3, whereas here 2 NADH2, 2 into 2 it's 4. Okay. And then in aerobic glycolysis, here 4 plus 2 already 2 is being 2 is being utilized and 4 is being produced. So ultimately in glycolysis already we have 2 ATP produced before this step, and then after it enters into the malate shuttle, 2 NADH2 is more is produced more, and from which 4 ATP is being generated. So 4 plus 2 totally 6. Though it produces more, it is slow, it is being used in liver and heart. It produces only 2 plus 3, 1.5 to 2 is 3, and 3 plus 2 is 5. It is to produces less number of ATP, it is used as it acts fast. So because of this reason it is being used in brain and skeletal muscle. Thank you. I think this will just cover everything about shuttle. And It's nothing much more than that. Just remember these differences between these two. These two forms the major chunk of the question answer. Next, coming to the electron transport chain. So, what actually happens in the electron transport chain is, so we have just coupled we have just sent the NADH produced from the outside, or maybe the reducing, or maybe the electron equivalents produced from the cytoplasm into the mitochondria. In mitochondria, we have electron transport chain. Electron transport chain is nothing but a group of complexes and electron carriers clubbed together in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Projecting out to the outer mitochondrial membrane, and also mainly extended across the intermembrane spaces between these two inner and outer membranes of the mitochondria. So okay, what is the NADH equals? NADH means it can be broken down into NAD plus and H plus, H plus or E minus. This jumping of electron produces the energy here, which I will explain it later. And then electron flow direction is very very important. So it's nothing but this NADH. It gives electrons to the complex 1, and complex 1 gives to the CoQ to the complex 3, complex 3 to the cytochrome C, and complex 4, and lastly into the oxygen. And this energy flow from the energy got from the flow of electrons. It is used to throw the proton from the inner mitochondrial matrix to the intermembrane space by the complexes. This is the only one thing which can explain the electron transport chain, and this is more than enough. Okay, and this complex 1 it gives rise to complex 1 gives rise to 4 protons, and complex 3 is 4, and complex 4 is 2, and totally 10 protons. So for example, one molecule of NADH can produce 10 protons. Okay, that's what I was just mentioned here. And this movement of the protons in response to the movement of electrons from the inner mitochondrial matrix to the inner mitochondrial space is called, produces an electrochemical, it's an osmotic gradient of protons. It's called as the chemiosmotic gradient, and because of this reason the electron just produced is then goes to the complex 5, and then it tries to enter into the inner mitochondrial complex. And in complex 5 we have FO, and it's a rolling gate, and Fi, it's a protruding gate towards the mitochondrial matrix. It's a proton channel. FO is a proton channel. It is present in the mitochondrial membrane attached to the F1, and it is an F1 protruding to the mitochondrial matrix. It has ATP synthesis activity, and can ATP synthesis, so it converts ADP to ATP. And this excess H plus from the intermembrane space enters the matrix via the complex 5. When they cross the rolling gate, the mechanical energy is being created here. This mechanical energy is transmitted to the Fi gate, and in the Fi, the ATP is converted into ATP, thus generating the ATP. And the naming of the complexes is just, you can just cram it up. Complex 1 is sodium NADH CoQ reductase. Complex 2 is a succinate CoQ reductase. I will just explain about the succinate CoQ reductase later. And complex 3 is the CoQ cytochrome C reductase, and complex 4 is the cytochrome C oxidase. The prosthetic group is the copper. Prosthetic group, difference between the prosthetic group and an cofactor is the prosthetic group of copper cannot be separated, whereas the cofactor of any enzyme complex can be separated. And the components of electron transport chain, everything is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane, not outer, not inner. It is the inner mitochondrial membrane. That is only one thing. It's a gold standard here. And 5 complexes, complex 1 to complex 5 is used, and 2 protein carriers are being used here. Yes, this CoQ is an ubiquinone or non-protein member, only non-protein member, that you have to keep in mind when you study about ETC. And cytochrome C is the peripheral membrane protein. And then redox potential. Redox potential is the tendency existing between the various complexes of the electron transport system to accept an electron, or maybe give away the electron, which that means that I already explained that the flow of electrons is from the NADH to the complex 5. So the least redox potential substance is the NADH, and oxygen is the highest redox potential substance. And this movement of electrons from the NADH to the complex 1 to the complex 3 to the complex 4. The complex 1 generates 4 protons, and complex 3 4, complex 4 2, and totally it produces 10 electrons. These 10 electrons correspond to 2.5 ADP in case of an NADH molecule, and in case of FADH2 molecule, now the complex 2 comes into the picture. Succinate CoA dehydrogenase has the activity, so it gives away the electrons to succinate CoA dehydrogenase. In presence of succinate CoA dehydrogenase, this electron is given to the CoQ. Okay, no cytochrome C, no cytochrome 1, directly given to the CoQ, and CoQ gives to the CO3 to the CO4. Okay, and then this card is the main importance of the complex 2 is that it does not give any proton, do not form any ATP. It just acts as a mere gate. That's it. Okay, FADH just acts as a mere gate, and this because of this reason, complex 3 produces 4 protons, and complex 5 produces 2 protons. Totally 6 protons are there, and we got about 1.5 ATP in case of one FADH2 molecule. Next, coming to the uncouplers. Okay, so what are the uncouplers? So you have always seen that this in an electron transport chain, the electron flow and the ATP formation goes hand in hand. So they form a good couple, though many people don't form a great couple nowadays. So it's oxidation and phosphorylation. When these two comes together, it's called as the oxidative phosphorylation. And when this oxidative phosphorylation is being inhibited or maybe disrupted by any external agents or maybe some physiological agents beyond some, when it tries to work beyond the physiological limits, we say those substances as uncouplers and inhibitors. And uncouplers, they oxidation occurs but phosphorylation doesn't occur. Uncoupled substances which creates a hole in the inner mitochondrial membrane, thereby disrupting the whole complex 1 to 5 organism architecture. And then the drugs mainly causing this are dinitrophenol, and natural uncouplers are thermogenin and thyroxine. Thermogenin, it is present in ion channel present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Main thing, it is present in the brown fat. This is a question here, and it is responsible for producing non-shivering thermogenesis. And the another one is hormone thyroxine. So thyroxine, what it does, it just already it increases the basal temperature. So when this in turn activates this in the electron transport chain, it produces more temperature, just making the patient more heat intolerable to the patient. And next is the inhibitor of the complex 5. So complex 5 inhibitor is the oligomycin. It's not an uncoupler, but it ligates the F rolling gate unit and closes it, so inhibits both oxidation and phosphorylation. So other things, they uncouplers usually uncouplers, they just for oxidation occurs and phosphorylation doesn't occur. But in case of complex 5 inhibitors like oligomycin inhibitor, it comes as a pure inhibitor, and both oxidation and phosphorylation doesn't occur here. And then ATP translocase, it is present in an just try to remember this. It's present in an inner mitochondrial membrane. It has two surfaces, bigger surface and then smaller surface. The mechanism of transfer of electrons or maybe the ATP to ATP by acts by the flip-flop mechanism. So we need ADP, so it brings the ATP in, and it has to give out ATP because of the ATP it has to give out, so it gives out ATP. So attractyloside is an inhibitor of this ADP ATP mechanism. So when a question is asked about ADP to ATP conversion is inhibited by oligomycin, we have just saw here it is an inhibitor. Conversion inhibitor is oligomycin, whereas the transfer inhibitor is attractyloside. Okay, and then inhibitors, various inhibitors names of complex 1 to 5, just cram it up. I will just give a mnemonic here: 1 2 3 4 1 ONE. So phenobarbital ONE, rotenone ONE. And malonate, we know that it is inhibited by malonate. Sorry, complex 2 is inhibited by malonate. It's a 3 carbon compound. It also inhibits TCA cycle, ETC, and beta oxidase, or beta oxidation of fatty acids. And complex 3 is inhibited by the fenformin. It's an earlier progenitor of fenformin, now withdrawn from the market. And complex 4 is the carbon monoxide, cyanide, and H2S. What does the fenformin does? What fenformin does is it inhibits the ETC, thereby increasing the NADH2. This NADH2, in the presence of an lactate dehydrogenase, the pyruvate is converted into lactate. This lactate causes the lactic acidosis, and this lactate competes with the urea for the excretion in the urine, leading to hyperuricemia. The same mechanism occurs in alcohol intoxication too. It has the same side effects. Lactic acidosis and hyperuricemia occurs by the same mechanism. So by this way we can I just try to condensely converse honestly say the information regarding these both the shuttles and electron transport chain, and I think we have just covered it around within a 15 minutes. Yes, so within 15 minutes we were able to do these things. So when you are well versed about the topic, and when you think that you have just crammed enough and just come to have this as a companion and revise the topic and just go to the question bank, and it also comes in handy where during those second revision or maybe third revision times, where you have to cover this topic in a relatively less number of time, where you don't even have time to go through the books again and again. Okay, all the best. Thank you.